บ่ายนี้เราจะมีผู้บรรยายนะคะจากเซียกานะคะ Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture นะคะซึ่งเป็นพาร์ทเนอร์ที่มหาวิทยาลัยแม่โจ้มีความสนิทสนมด้วยนะคะแล้วก็ได้มีโครงการร่วมกันมาอย่างต่อเนื่องนะคะโดยผู้บรรยายก็คือจะเป็นดร.มาเรียคริสเตตาโคเรสมานะคะเป็น Senior Program Head นะคะ Education and Collective Learning Department นะคะจากเซียกาเดี๋ยวขอเปิดจอคุณโดยท่านจะออนไลน์มาจากฟิลิปปินส์เลยนะคะส่งตรงยิงสัญญาณสดมาจากฟิลิปปินส์ออนไลน์แล้วนะคะ Good afternoon ma'am
Hello, good afternoon. I hope you can hear me well.
Can you hear us?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, okay. So we have Dr. Maria Cristeta Quaresma. She is a senior program head, Education and Collective Learning Department from SIERCA, Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture. So Dr. Quaresma joined SIERCA in 2014, and she has managed SIERCA's graduate scholarship program and directly responsible for the recruitment, selection, and awarding placement, and also monitoring of the master's and PhD scholars. She also in the lead in all matters related to university consortium, including the administration of student and faculty grants, the conduct of its annual summer school and forums, and also the management of funds and organizing its executive board meeting. She also oversees the conduct of SIERCA's trainings, short courses, and other knowledge events. So Major University is very happy to see you here, Dr. Quaresma, and we hope to learn a lot from you today.
Thank you.
I think you,
Thank you so much.
I think you can begin your presentation.
Okay. Do I share my screen or is somebody going to flash it over there?
I think you can share your screen from your side. If there is a problem, we can share it from here.
Yeah, I
Is
was
it okay with you?
Okay. Let me try. I don't know if you can see my screen right now.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. And first, let me thank Major University for giving us the opportunity to share with you our experiences at SIERCA in securing funding for our programs. And let me start by giving you a brief background of SIERCA, who we are and what do we do, so that you will get to understand why we need funding and why we go to particular donors, partners, or other sources of funding. The tips on securing funding that I will share with you will also inform you about the challenges and opportunities that we have met along the way. And finally, for those of you who know about the University Consortium or the UC, please note that SIERCA is independent of the University Consortium. These are two different entities, and the funds of the UC are distinct, separate from those of SIERCA. And what I am going to share with you refer to the SIERCA funding, unless otherwise stated. Now, SIERCA, of course, stands for the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture. And the picture on the screen is taken in front of the SIERCA headquarters in Los Baños, Laguna, Philippines. Our center was established in 1966 as one of the 26 specialist institutions under the treaty organization called SIMEO. SIMEO is the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization. In fact, its headquarters is in Bangkok, Thailand. It is an intergovernmental organization established in 1965 to promote regional cooperation in education, science, and culture in the region. CIMIO has 11 member countries that CIRCA is mandated to serve, and this includes all the 10 ASEAN member states plus Timor-Leste. CIRCA's mandate is to build the capacities of the 11 member countries to promote agricultural and rural development in the region. And we do this through our 3 core programs, which also correspond to the 3 departments of CIRCA. The first of which is the Education and Collective Learning Department. That's the department where I belong. It is responsible for providing high-quality graduate education and training to member countries through the Graduate Scholarships Program, the Institutional Development Assistance, technical trainings, and other learning events. And that is why the department is further subdivided into 2 units. That's the graduate education, or rather the graduate scholarships and institutional development unit, and the training for development unit. And then we have the research and thought leadership department that seeks to promote, undertake, and coordinate research related to the needs and problems of the region. There is actually a move to create CADRE. That's a consortium for agriculture development, research, and extension in order to carry out collaborative research for development as well as policy and program advisory. And third, we have our Emerging Innovation for Growth Department, or EIGD. It hopes to showcase and operate agri-innovations, emerging agribusiness models, as well as smart disruptive solutions to confront future challenges in ARD. We also have a publication arm. It's called our Applied Knowledge Resources Unit. And we publish our own journal. That's the Asian Journal of Agriculture and Development, or AJAD. We also manage the publication of SABRAO, the Journal of Breeding and Genetics. SABRAO stands for the Society for the Advancement of Breeding Research in Asia and Oceania. And we publish conference proceedings, books, as well as policy papers or discussion series on topics that are relevant to agriculture and rural development. CIRCA has various grants programs, including, of course, our graduate scholarship program that it started way back in 1967. For our degree scholarships, there is the full degree, the full master's or PhD scholarships, and we also have a PhD research scholarships where we only support the research component of the PhD studies of the scholar. As of the end of academic year 2023-2024, we have already awarded a total of 1,958 such degree scholarships. But CIRCA also offers short-term or non-degree scholarships, such as one-semester mobilities for coursework or research mobilities to participate perhaps in short-term trainings or workshops. And right now, for example, we have one ongoing mobility for a 3-week stay in the United States for the UC Berkeley Bears Environmental Leadership Program. We also provide seed fund for research and training up to a maximum of $15,000. This is for researchers to implement research or training projects with high potential to develop into a bigger project and contribute to the region's development. And then there are also travel grants to enable Southeast Asian nationals to disseminate their research outputs in relevant scientific forums. Our EIGD also offers grants or grants for research towards agricultural innovative solutions. These are to support individuals or institutions towards translation of research or knowledge, or transfer of technologies and products that may lead to technology adoption. This involves either experimental proof of concept or the establishment of a model or a prototype, the piloting or scaling up of a technology or innovation, or establishing a startup. The maximum grant is also $15,000. And what you see on the screen are some of the projects that have been supported by GRAINS. And we also have our CIRCA Regional Professorial Chair Grants to award outstanding academicians whose work has made much impact to agriculture and rural development in the region, and whose contribution, of course, aligns to the thrust of CIRCA. Every year, there are about 3 to 5 professorial chair awardees for this particular grant. And so CIRCA has a lot of programs and activities that need funding. And so where do we source our funds? CIRCA's funding mainly comes from the international commitment funds of its host government, and that's the Philippines. But of course, this is not enough and would account to only roughly about 60% of CIRCA's operational and program costs. And so we have to find other sources of funding. Where are these? And what were the challenges and opportunities met in the quest for funding? Now, here are some tips. No? Tip number 1, consider like-minded institutions or those with the same interests or trust when looking for sources of funding. At CIRCA, for example, for our scholarship program, I mentioned already that as of academic year 23-24, we've had a number of scholars. The full master's or the doctoral scholars are 1,182. We say full because they are being funded in full by CIRCA alone. But we also have joint scholarship projects, those that are funded with donors or partners, and there are about 659 of them. This is roughly 36% of all our scholars. And our partners for the scholarships include those of the German Academic Exchange Service, or DAAD. In the past, we've had USAID, the UN Development Program, or UNDP. We've had the International Development Research Center, or IDRC of Canada, the Australian Agency for International Development, or AusAid. And most of them, you would note, are international development organizations, just like CIRCA. However, right now, many of these organizations have ceased giving funding for scholarships. And yet, you will note that for the recent years, we have more scholars being jointly funded with partners than those that are solely funded by CIRCA. In the last academic year, for example, that's academic year 2023-2024, we have 102 scholars co-funded with partners for 65% of the total ongoing scholars. That's 156. So 65% compared to a 36% average over the last 58 years or 57 years. So you see that CIRCA has been getting more funding through the years for our scholarships. So you may wonder which institutions are giving this funding. Right now, these are the joint scholarship funding partners that we have on your screen. No? Note that all of them are academic institutions. Most of them are universities. And CISAIN, for example, that's the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Agricultural Intensification and Nutrition in Cambodia, is a research center. It's formerly funded by USAID under the Feed the Future Innovation Labs, but is now being integrated into the Royal University of Agriculture in Cambodia. So still, it is under a university. And of course, DAAD is the German Academic Exchange Service, whose mandate is also to capacitate higher education institutions. And so we're looking at, as I mentioned before, like-minded institutions in funding our programs. Now, are we happy with this? Of course. We get as many scholars each year, but the amount that we spend for the scholarships is only about 60% than what we used to spend in the previous years. But are there challenges along the way? Is there a drawback? The answer is also yes. Because our partners are co-funding the scholarships, then that means CIRCA cannot make the decisions about the scholarships on our own. We always have to wait for what our partners will say. And sometimes that means a lot of delays. Even if an applicant is ranked number 1 in our internal assessment, but the partner does not choose him or her for the scholarship, then we cannot grant that applicant a scholarship. And this happens several times, no, in the recent past. And why is that? Because the partners, of course, have their own priorities or agenda. For example, the DAAD scholarship in the next 3 years will only support those in the major field of environmental science and food science. Or the NTU scholarships from National Taiwan University is confined only to master's programs, no PhD, and only in 3 major fields: global agriculture technology and genomic science, biodiversity, as well as disaster risk reduction and resilience. So for example, if anyone wants to go into forestry or community development or fisheries or some other discipline not covered by our partners, then we can only offer limited scholarship slots for them, even if there are many good applicants applying for these major fields. So that is one challenge. So we have to look for other partners who can co-fund these other disciplines, no? So that's what we do. Now, tip number 2, the institution must have a wide range of partners also to solve the problem that we mentioned previously. But these partnerships must not be any partnerships. These partnerships must be for a common goal. And this is key to our fund sourcing. Now, we just do not develop a partnership for a particular project, but of course, we must nurture and sustain that partnership so that it would last and bear more fruits, so they say, no? As an example, perhaps you know already that CIRCA is secretariat to the University Consortium. That's the Southeast Asian University Consortium for Graduate Education in Agriculture and Natural Resources. Now, the consortium inked a memorandum of understanding with AgriNatura, or the European Alliance on Agricultural Knowledge for Development, back in 2015. And the picture here was taken during the November 2015 Executive Board meeting of the consortium, where Dr. Didier Pilot of Montpellier Supagro, who was then Vice President of AgriNatura, represented that European consortium in the ceremonial signing of the MOU. And there were discussions for possible collaborations between the two networks. And that collaboration gave birth to the Joint Master of Science in Food Security and Climate Change, or MSFSCC project, that was awarded Erasmus Plus funding for 947,000 euros back in October 2016. The picture there was taken during the project kickoff at the CIRCA headquarters in November 2016. There are several AgriNatura fellows in that screen. Unfortunately, perhaps I could not pinpoint them to you. But AgriNatura brought in our European partner universities to that project, and they were joined by 13 other partner institutions in Southeast Asia, including CIRCA and the other consortium members. The project was already completed in December 2019. The final technical report was accepted by the EU and was in fact marked as good. This project was the precursor of another Erasmus Plus funded project of the consortium. This is now the Postgraduate Micro-Credentials for Food Security and Climate Change, or PMCFSCC, that is given because the project is still ongoing. It started in December 2023 and will end in November 2026. So it was given funding of roughly 752,000 euros. Circa is of course part of the project along with Major University, who is now a member of the consortium. All right. What I'm saying is that Circa met the Agri-Natura in the university consortium, but it did not stop at that. No, Circa took the opportunity of working with Agri-Natura in the consortium and turned it into a further collaboration, such that during the General Assembly of Agri-Natura in May 2022 at Cork, Ireland, Agri-Natura funded the participation of 2 Circa staff. And you see on the screen our center director, Dr. Glenn Gregorio, as part of a panel discussant in one of the sessions. He is the one in black suit, no? So that was an opportunity turned into a further collaboration. And you may ask, are there challenges in working with multiple partners? Of course, the answer is a resounding yes, especially if you need to take in new partners that you do not know well for a particular project, or if you are working with many partners in a single project. So we must know our project partners as well. When the consortium first submitted the Postgraduate Micro-Credentials in Food Security and Climate Change, PMCFSCC, back in February 2022, we got a rejection letter, no, from the Erasmus program. The project was deemed ineligible or not eligible for funding. And that was because, it says here, we failed to satisfy the condition that there should be a minimum of 1 higher education institution from each participating EU member state or third country associated to the Erasmus Plus program. Why is that? Back in 2016, when we applied for MS-FSCC, Agri-Natura's secretariat was based in Prague, Czech Republic, but they had no legal personality yet at that time. Instead, they used their business management arm, and that is Agri-Natura EEIG, that was registered in France. And so for that project, that was fine because we had another French institution, an HEI in the project, and that's Montpellier Supagro. However, in 2022, when we applied for the PMCFSCC, we did not realize that Agri-Natura, the association, the alliance itself, has already registered, and it used its legal entity from Belgium for the project. Because we had no HEI partner from Belgium, the project failed to be eligible for Erasmus Plus funding. They did not even get to read our proposal, no? And so lesson learned, we should know your partner through the years. What happens to it? Why did I say that you must have a wide range of partners? Because when we learned that Agri-Natura is based in Belgium, the consortium tried to find HEIs that were available and willing to join us in the PMCFSCC. The UC, the consortium, invited 3 universities, Ghent University, Leuven, as well as Liege, but none of them responded affirmatively within the given time frame. With a close partner, it will be easy to get consent for another collaboration. But getting a new partner for a new project means getting to know all the other project partners, getting the consent of the head of the institution that passes through several channels, going over the proposal, and perhaps the review goes through the legal and financial offices and so on. And with a deadline to beat, then that is going to be a challenge. And so we learned from that. And so now we know. For tip number 3, be on the lookout for calls for applications, whether this be for calls from UN agencies such as IFAD or the International Fund for Agricultural Development, or whether from the European Commission or IDRC of Canada or other organizations such as the Asian Development Bank or ADB, or even from our own governments. Okay, we should know when the call for application would come out, the deadline, the requirements, and so on. For example, at CIRCA, we already know that every year, Erasmus Plus makes a call. If it's under capacity building for higher education, it usually opens in October or November, and the deadline is usually around the first week of February. No, so it's usually like that. So we look out for the call and prepare for it long before the call opening starts. For our DAAD project, we know that the call comes every 3 years and usually in the same period. So in this call, for example, it was posted in November 2022 and the deadline was the last day or the end of January 2023, close to February. For IDRC and Agri-Natura calls, usually for research projects, not for scholarships. We are subscribed to their newsletters, so we are always informed of the opening of any grant call. So this is an example of a call from IDRC. And the right side is from the Agri-Natura newsletter that comes every Monday in your emails. So you know that there is a call for such submissions. For others, such as ADB, for example, they usually have a portal or a web page where opportunities to bid for projects are announced, such as what you have on the screen. So there is no single way of finding such opportunities for funding. The key is to look for them. In some organizations, usually in the EU, there is a team whose only task is to scout for such opportunities to submit proposals for funding. But that means they have ready proposals at any time. Of course, it is not enough to merely look out for such opportunities and submit proposals left and right. And so tip number 4 says, your institution must have a good reputation, a good track record in what you do, both in the conduct of your technical programs and in the management of your funds. Again, at CIRCA, in our capacity building programs, where we are known in the region, I'd like to say, our scholars and trainees have assumed positions of leaderships in universities and government agencies, such as what you see in the photos. These are actually the 11 outstanding CIRCA scholarship alumni that were awarded during our 50th anniversary back in 2016, and 2 emerging leaders in transition economies or elite awardees. And one of them is a former Deputy Minister for Education of Indonesia. Another is a Deputy Minister or Undersecretary, as we call it in the Philippines, for Agriculture. One is a president of a university, the other is a vice president, and so on. And so because of their achievements, it redounds back to CIRCA. Of course, another case in point that I should not miss is Dr. or President Wirapon Tongma, who is a CIRCA scholarship alumnus, another exhibit of CIRCA's good reputation as a capacity builder. But more than that, CIRCA is also known as a network builder. One, for example, having established the University Consortium back in 1989 and sustaining the consortium until today, with the UC members ranking high in global rankings for agriculture and forestry, specifically. Okay, this is why when CIRCA approached the Philippine Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, and submitted a proposal to build the research and development and leadership and management capacities of initially 3 centers of excellence in agriculture in the Philippines, and also to raise the level of their internationalization, CHED asked CIRCA to scale up our project. They said they have funds, and instead of capacitating only 3 universities, CHED asked us to expand it to 75 state universities and colleges of agriculture in the Philippines. And they increased our proposed budget of 10 million to a whopping 100 million pesos. And so we revised our proposal to accommodate their instructions, and the project was implemented from September 2021 to December 2023, just a little over 2 years. And that was because the project that was initially signed in 2020 was overtaken by the pandemic. And so the mobilities could not start yet at the beginning of the project. 612 lecturers from the Philippines participated in trainings and mobilities to the UC member universities in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Taiwan, Japan. And last month, CHED accepted our final technical report and gave clearance to our financial report. And for this, we got congratulatory messages from all over saying that having been cleared of such a huge amount of funding for a 2-year project is impressive. And with that, we know that it will not be difficult to get another such big project, say from CHED, to be approved, since we have already shown our ability to implement such. And tip number 5 says, preferably, or rather, it will be easier to source grant funding if our institution itself has funds to put up as counterpart and not simply rely on the donor or partner to fund the project. As they say, you should put your money where your mouth is. Even donors would be happy to learn that not only is their money going to good use, but that the recipient is also spending money to supplement what they are giving. And so again, in our scholarship program, that's usually my example because that's where I am coming from. All right. Even for scholars that are almost fully funded by other institutions, CIRCA allocates funding so they can participate in a host of activities under our Graduate on Time, or GOT program. This includes customized trainings for English proficiency, scientific writing, data analysis, and others that are relevant to the scholar's needs. We also provide funding for the scholar's presentation in conferences or in the payment of publication fees in scientific journals. And these are on top of their financial benefits under the scholarship contract. As well, we support scholars, even if these are funded by our donors or partners, in activities for social interactions to help promote their scholars' well-being, which include team building activities, sports fest, year-end parties, anniversary celebrations, and similar events. So, which both our scholars and our funding partners appreciate. And so I believe that much sums up what I prepared to share today. Let me just repeat them again for emphasis. Tip number 1 is to consider like-minded institutions or those with the same interests or thrusts when looking for sources of funding. Tip number 2 is to have a wide range of partners, as partnerships for a common goal is key to fund sourcing. And we should always remember to nurture and sustain the partnerships that we have built over time, to bear more fruits. Tip number 3 is to be on the lookout for calls for applications, which may come in different forms. We should be alert on the usual time, the requirements, the platform to be used to submit our applications, especially now that online submissions or accomplishing online forms is becoming the norm. Tip number 4 is for the institution to have a good reputation, a good track record in the conduct of programs and in the management of funds so that we get the trust of our donors. And tip number 5 is that preferably the institution should have its own funds to put up as a counterpart. Of course, these are by no means exhaustive or complete, but I hope that this could be of help in finding opportunities and in hurdling challenges in securing funds to implement your programs for sustainable agricultural and rural development. Thank you so much. I end here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charisma, for your very informative presentation. Does anybody here have any questions for Dr. Charisma? มีคำถามไหมคะโอเค
Hello. Hello, Ma'am Teta. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. And I'm happy to learn many tips from you, how to apply for the EU projects. I'm also working with you for PMC FSCC. So my question is about the tip number 3. You mentioned that be prepared for the funding call, right? But I heard from some of the partner or friends in like Europe or other countries, they used to have the separate like departments or separate people who just works and wait for the call, even their proposals are ready, as you mentioned. So as we are working in the Southeast Asian countries, what do you suggest how we can deal with this kind of situation? Because sometimes we don't have enough time to write proposals. Sometimes we don't have enough time to get the like collaborator partners, but other countries, they have some kind of like special sections to take care of these things. What do you suggest? How, example, we can be the part of this call? Thank you.
All right. Let me give a specific example. In the Erasmus Plus call for applications, since we already know that it's going to be announced sometime in October or November, and that the deadline for the submission of proposals is going to come in early February, that will only give you like November, December, January. All right, 3 months in order to come up with a proposal, in order to find partners in the region as well as in Europe. If it's an Erasmus Plus call, it's always a must that you need European partners, no? Now, for these particular calls, you should know the thrust of the donor or the agency that is giving out the funding. For European, for the Erasmus Plus, for example, there are 5 priorities, including the Green Deal, and that includes climate change and all that stuff, no? Food security is, of course, embedded in one of those, and so on. And you choose which particular priority aligns with your own thrust, because of course you want to submit a proposal that is close to your heart, that will do an impact into your community, into your region. And as I said, because we already know when it's going to be, long before that opening, we try to come up with our concept. We think of possible partners and probably ask them already, because from November to January, you will be doing a lot of paperwork. Each of the partners will have to go to their president and ask them for like the mandate. that the university is willing to be part of this project and is willing for this particular institution to lead the project on behalf of them, something like that. So it takes much time. So there really must be like a concept proposal even long before the opening. In fact, for this November opening, we already have at the back of our minds what particular project we wish to submit, no? And in Erasmus Plus, there are a lot of other categories. There's capacity building for higher education. There's strand 1, 2, and 3, and it differs. The partners that you will get for strand 3 is different from the partners that you will need to get for strand 2 or strand 1. So you should know all about these rules. For strand 3, it should be you should have a government partner, something like that. For strand 2, it doesn't matter. It can all be higher education institutions and so on. In fact, for CIRCA, it's going to be more difficult because if we are submitting a proposal to Erasmus Plus under capacity building for higher education, we cannot be the leader. We cannot be a project leader, even if we were the ones who conceptualized the problem, who wrote the problem, who found all the partners and so on. Why? Because CIRCA is not a university. So under CBHE, under capacity building for higher education, the project leader must either be a university or a group of universities. So that's why even if we write all the proposals at CIRCA, we cannot be. So we only hope to find a particular university that we can work with closely and for that university to be the lead. So we're just at the back of that person, you see. We coordinate everything, for example, but on the face of the EU, we are just behind the back of that organization. I think you know what I'm saying, Dr. Prakash. So that's the reason why. So all of those challenges, you must have to think well ahead of time and find for possible solutions. Now, that's where having a wide network of partners is going to come in. Because if you already have a deep relationship with these network partners, then it would be easy to know their interests, whether it aligns with the proposal that you wish to submit, and to get their nod, to get their consent to be able to be part of the project if you already know them well, no? So that's how you do it. As I mentioned, yes, there are specific universities in EU that have a team that does nothing else but look for opportunities for submitting proposals. And that's why in the previous projects that we have been invited to participate, where the project leader is in EU, they have like a series of projects. I forgot the name of that one now, but like if you have Alphabet 1 this year, then 2 years from now, they will submit a proposal they will call Alphabet 2 or Alphabet 3 in another 3 years from now. They anticipate that. They anticipate the call. They anticipate coming forward with a proposal. So similarly here, we can do that with our network. Of course, we cannot do it probably alone with just one person in one institution, even if there are 2 of you perhaps. You will need your partners to work with. So strength comes in numbers, so they say, and that's why the projects that we were thinking of, we always throw them away to the university consortium to pick up, so that we know we already have a group of universities, and that university consortium has already worked with a number of partners in the EU. The partners that we're working with for PMC-FSCC right now were the partners that we worked with under MS-FSCC. And they were partners that we worked with in other projects also. So we already know them. It's easy to get them. So that's it, no? It really is not going to be easy. at first, but when you get the hang of it, like you want to submit every time there's going to be a call. I hope I answered your question, Dr. Prakash.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer, Dr. Charisma. Any other questions? Okay, here's one question for me, Dr. Charisma. Since you are from Circa, you have a lot of grants and scholarships and fellowships from your organization as well. Could you locate where we can look for the information about the applications and procedures, and so we can spread the news to other researchers and faculty members here at MJU?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. All the grants programs that I mentioned earlier on scholarships, on research and training, on grants, and all the other activities like the trainings that we're going to hold, they are all in our website. I mean, even the university consortium grants are in our website. You have the eligibility requirements, you have how to do it, the procedure. The applications are usually online. You just have to click the link given in the web page and you would see them all there. Our website is, of course, www.searca.org. And you could look at the corresponding page. I mean, there are links at the top. If you want to go to scholarships, then you scroll down, you see the different types of scholarships, and each of them will have a web page detailing the eligibility, the requirements, the procedure, how to apply, and so on. We have an online platform. It's called ISCO for our scholarships. But even for the research and the travel grants, they each have their online platforms too, no? And all their requirements and schedule are given in the website. I hope it is already up and running. 2 days ago, our website was down, no, because of a problem with our service provider, HostGator. But we know that we have put it up again, except that I heard yesterday that what we put up was like a backup copy that was not exactly updated as of this time. But still, you can find all the information there. So www.circa.org, and then go to the specific page where you wish to look for interesting grants or programs.
Okay, thank you very much,ค่ะ Dr. Charisma. So, any other questions? มีไหมคะ มีคำถามสำหรับ Dr. Charisma ไหมคะ ก่อนที่จะจากกัน Okay, I think we have had a lot, we have received a lot of very useful information from you, Dr. Charisma, today. And also, Major University, thank you very much for your contribution. And we hope to work with you a lot more in the future.
Yeah, since Major University is now part of the University Consortium, then I know that there will be more interactions between CIRCA and the University Consortium and the other partner universities on the consortium, no? We have a lot of grants in the consortium. I was not able to mention them. So we have faculty grants, we have student grants, we have grants for research, and there are opportunities to participate in forums, in summer schools. Of course, only the executive officers get to participate in the executive board meetings. Yes, but there's a lot going on, plus the projects. And so, yes, we'd be happy to interact more with major faculty and staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ค่ะ See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, ตอนนี้ก็จบลงไปแล้วนะคะสำหรับ การบรรยายเรื่องโอกาสและความท้าทายในการรับทุนวิจัยและไปการวิชาการเพื่อพัฒนาความร่วมมือระหว่างประเทศด้านการเกษตรอย่างยั่งยืนจากผู้บรรยายจากเซียก้านะคะ